I'm going to show you how to create a text trail animation in Adobe After Effects. This was inspired by the recent Drake cover art animation for Honestly Nevermind. I'm also going to show you additional 2 effects that you can drag and drop onto your animation to give it a different look. First, select on the type tool and then type out your text. Next, right click on your text track and go over to Precompose. And we have to do this in order to apply the next effect. And then you want to press OK. The next effect I'm going to talk about is basically the entire animation. So you might notice that the text stretches all the way down to the bottom of the video. And we want to be able to do this without messing up the proportions of the text, basically extending the bottom of the text. So how we do this is with the CC scale wipe effect. So drag this onto your nested clip. At first, you won't see anything, but that's because the center point and stretch are at default. First, I would increase the stretch. Just so you know what this does, it takes the selected center and stretches it at a certain direction. So let's just set this at 10 for now. And we want to change the direction so that it goes up and down. So we want to rotate it. So at 180 degrees. And so we want to animate this in. And the way you do this is with the Y center. So we want to start at a point where nothing happens, and then we want to keyframe into the position where something happens. So this is pretty simple. Click on the drop down arrow right here, go over to effects, go over to CC scale wipe, and what we're adjusting is center. So we're going to click on the stopwatch icon. So we want to set the center point right before anything happens. So somewhere around here, we're going to move into this clip. And the Y position is going to go all the way upwards to the point where it stretches fully. So something like this, right? So if we press play, the issue we have now is that we want constant motion. So that's what I'm going to show you next. We're going to apply an effect, and we're actually going to use an After Effects expression in order to loop this animation where it wipes down. Because if you're going to make this for like a 5-minute video, we don't want it to stop after like 10 frames and just have it still like this. So what we're going to do is hold Option or Alt and click on the stopwatch icon for center. And we're going to copy and paste or type out this expression. And basically what this will do is it will loop this animation. So right now it looks like this because it's copying what we do in this animation. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to copy this keyframe. This keyframe is this position. We want to hold this position for most of this timeline. So I'm going to paste it towards the end. So now it looks like something like this. And then we're going to have it go back to the normal center. So just highlight and copy this keyframe. Press Ctrl or Command C and then Ctrl or Command V. So now it looks like something like this. So if we were to increase the length of this timeline and just make this slightly longer, like a 7-minute timeline, and also increase the length of the nested clip, it'll basically repeat these 4 keyframes and do it at the same speed that these keyframes are doing it at. Now we want to keep this animation from being stagnant. You notice that in between the portions of the animation, there's just nothing happening. And what you'll notice in the Drake animation is that basically the text is sort of wiggling. And so we're going to recreate that effect, and we're going to do it with another effect. And we're also going to use another expression as well. The effect we're going to use is called Turbulent Displays. If we drag it on, you'll see something happen right away. It basically distorts the text. And if you increase the evolution, you see it wiggle. I believe this is the exact same way they do it in the Drake animation. But the problem is we want this to also loop. Go back to 0, 0. We're going to hold Option or Alt and click the stopwatch animation. The same thing will happen here where this box will appear. And instead, we're going to type in time in, for example, 50. The higher the number, the faster the speed of the distortion happens. So if we press play right now, you can see it wiggles basically, or sort of slowly waves. And you can make this a lot faster if you increase the speed. So let's do 100 now. If this is confusing to you at all, I actually give project files to all my channel members. So make sure to check the link in the description, pin comment, or click the join icon to get this project file and easily edit the text and also mess around to see how this works. Next, we're going to add some color. So there's a few ways to add color. You can, for example, go back into the nested sequence. So just double click on it and edit the color to whatever you want. So if we edit this red, for example, it turns red. Or what you could do is search up gradient, and you can drag on the 4-color gradient, or you can drag on gradient ramp. I personally like this a little bit better, so I'm gonna do maybe blue and pink. We can of course change this whenever we want as well. What we also want to do is create a second version that's going to be placed on top of this colored version. So we're going to copy and paste this sequence. So you can press Command or Control C and Command or Control V. And then we're just going to remove the effects. So now it'll look something like this. You might want to keep on Turbulent Displays for the top layer because otherwise it doesn't really move with the bottom animation. So I'm just going to paste it on here. So there's that option. If it's hard to read the top text layer, you might want to add a drop shadow to it. So you would want to increase the distance slightly and then increase the softness. And then you can also increase the opacity, but not too strong or it looks a little bit weird. But here you can see how that looks like. Now that we're done adding color as well as adding the animation, we're gonna add extra effects that I mentioned before to basically spice this up. The first effect you might want to add is glow. So I'm gonna drag it onto the bottom track right here, and I'm gonna increase the glow radius, and instantly you'll see what this does. It just smoothens out the design a little bit better, and it makes the trail look less flat, which is always a good thing. I switched it to the 4-color gradient because I think it looks better with the glow effect just because there's more colors. And with the 4-color gradient, you can actually move positioning of the colors to whatever side or angle that you want. Another effect you see in the drag animation is CC light sweep, where a light streak goes across the text. So I'm gonna drag this onto the first clip. So we're gonna go over to effects, and we're gonna create a keyframe for center. You should be able to choose the location. So I'm gonna start at the left side, and we're gonna move a little bit into this animation and then select the right side. And so you can see this point right here is moving left to right. And I don't think you'll be able to see this if your text is purely white because the light streak is white, but you can change the color of the light as well. Luckily, our text is gray. And once again, you can go over to the expressions. So you can hold down Option or Alt and then type in the same expression to loop it. So once again, it's the same expression. The next effect is a different approach, and it will stylistically change your animation. So it's called CC Mr. Mercury. And so I'm going to drag this on the bottom track. And so right away, you see these different blobs. So this will make it look really, really cool actually. With this, of course, you don't actually see the animation. So what you have to do is go over to blob birth size or death size, and you just have to change it. Before I do that, I'm going to go over to constant blobs for influence map, and then twirl or twirly for the animation. So I'm going to increase the death size until most of the animation comes back. Changing this makes the in and out animation look a lot cooler, and even the animation that's not the in and out point also has a little bit more character to it. Factor we're going to apply is CC Mr. Smoothie. And so there's two ways you can use this. The first way is by dragging this to the very top of the bottom video track or the trail track, and then you'll notice that it basically creates an outline of the trail. You can also increase the smoothness, and this will make the outline a lot smoother. It'll make it thicker and rounder, and personally I like how this looks like. What you can also do is layer this with the normal trail track. So you can copy and paste this video track and just remove CC Mr. Smoothie. So what you have is you have the normal trail, and then you have the outline. The issue here is you can barely see the outline. So I'm gonna select on the outline track, press S on my keyboard, and then scale it up slightly, like 108. And now here you can actually see it. And this way it adds a little bit of depth to your effect. You can also top off this effect by applying the Bad TV effect. So I personally like Bad TV 1 and Bad TV 2. So in the project file that I have right here, if I drag it onto the adjustment layer, you can see a huge difference. Some really nice final touches. That's about it for this video. If you don't have Adobe After Effects yet, check the link in the description as well as pinned comment for over 60% off the entire Adobe Creative Cloud Suite if you're a student or teacher. Once again, if you become a paid channel member, you can access perks like the project file that I made today in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out this playlist as well as subscribe here for more videos.